Okay, hi everybody. I want to continue talking about the stage theory of memory. Last time we talked about both the sensory memory, which is input from the external environment and comes into one of your sensory stores and lasts for a very short period of time, but takes in a ton of information. In order to move that to the short term, you have to pay attention, and the short term is where you work on everything. So it's all of your conscious thought. At any one moment in time, every piece of that information is housed in your short-term memory. The short-term memory only lasts for 20 to 60 seconds, but if we use maintenance rehearsal, we can keep it there indefinitely, and that's simple repetition. So this is where we ended off. And the short-term memory has a capacity of either magic 7 or magic 4. So what we'll do is move on today and talk about how information goes from short-term, I guess I didn't finish the short-term yet. If you can't use maintenance rehearsal, what happens is memory decays quickly. It's gone in 20 to 60 seconds. Okay, now we'll move into and talk about the transfer from short-term to long-term. You can see here on the picture on the slide that the elaborative rehearsal is the best way to get information from your short-term to your long-term. Do not use maintenance rehearsal. This is one of the mistakes that I see a lot of students making, and this is one of the reasons why we're doing this first. If you are simply rereading your book, or if you have created note cards and you simply copied them from the textbook and you just flip and flip and flip and flip without stopping and asking yourself questions, you're using maintenance rehearsal, and maintenance rehearsal is great for keeping information in short term, but it is not the most effective way to move it to long term. To move it to long term, what you have to do is you have to use elaborative rehearsal. This is where you think about it, you stop, you think about the information on a more personal and a deeper level. So instead of simply repeat, you would actually say, when is the last time I used maintenance rehearsal? Oh, I remember using maintenance rehearsal when such and such happened, and now all of a sudden it has more relevance to you and it's hooked to other things. So elaborative rehearsal, giving it deeper meaning, more personal meaning, and that note card demonstration that you did, that was the purpose of that, was you're basically studying with elaborative rehearsal rather than simply using maintenance rehearsal. So this is why you need to be an active reader as well. When you read the textbook, you should always stop and question yourself before the section and after the section. And hopefully those learning curve quizzes are helping you to do that too. So elaborative rehearsal is the best way to get information to long-term memory. And then long-term memory is also responsible for sending information back to your short-term. So when you remember something for the exam, you are bringing that information from your long-term to your short-term to write down the answer for that. So the elaborative rehearsal helps to get it into the long-term memory, and then you retrieve it. The function of the long-term memory is to organize and store your information. So this is your retention. This is your warehouse. This is where everything that you know is housed. In order to use that information, though, you have to bring it from the long-term to the short-term. The capacity of the long-term memory, most psychologists believe, is unlimited. So you can continue to put information into your long-term memory for the remainder of your life, unless there's a biological reason or some brain damage. So we believe it's unlimited. The duration of your long-term memory, it varies dramatically. So, and it depends on who you're talking to. Some people believe that information, if you don't use that highway between the short-term and the long-term, that information will eventually fade away if you don't use it. So if you don't use it, you lose it. Other people believe that it's once it's in your long-term memory, it's there forever. The question is just, do you have access to it? So we don't really know about the duration. I do know the other thing that is really beneficial to retrieval of information from your long-term back to your short-term, the more times you have used that path. So the more times, and this is why I'm trying to give you lots of practice through your learning curve quizzes, with your reading, with completing your outline and so forth, the more times that information moves from short-term to long-term and long-term back to short-term, the stronger the neural pathway becomes and the more durable that learning is, so the easier it is to access. So it's the practice effect. The more you practice it, and it has to be spaced. So you practice it today for 10 minutes and tomorrow for 10 minutes. That 20 minutes that you spend is worth way more than 20 minutes altogether at one time. So if you can space it out instead of cramming the night before an exam, you are much better off, and you'll have that knowledge for the rest of your life instead of just for the test. And then when you walk out of the test, it's gone. And the last thing that I want to talk about are the different types of long-term memories. When we encode information in our long-term memory, we encode it very many different ways, and that leads to different kinds of memories. We have two basic categories of memories. We have the explicit memories or the declarative memories. These are memories that I can talk to you about or I can write about. So these are memories that I can actually express or declare. And we have two different types there. We have the semantic memories. That's memories for knowledge and general facts. So this is what you're trying to create. You're trying to create new semantic memories in each and every one of your classes so that you can explain, declare the information on your exam. The other type of explicit or declarative memory is an episodic memory. That's remembering a personal life event. I remember when I got my driver's license, or when I got married, or I remember where I was when some national event happened or worldwide event. Then we also have, on the other hand, on the other side, we have these implicit or the non-declarative memories. And one type of implicit or non-declarative memory is a procedural memory. And the procedural memories are memories for motor or cognitive skills. So this is, I know how to solve a math problem, but I may not be able to explain it to you. Or I know how to ride a bike, but I can't really explain it to you. So procedural memories, this is a great example of this is when you're trying to teach your children things. Trying to teach my children to ride the bike the first time, and they ask me all kinds of questions, and I think, I have no idea. I know I can ride the bike, but I don't know how to explain it to you. So I have to get on the bike, and I have to actually create a semantic memory so that I can declare and tell them how to ride it. Or when they were learning to drive, Mom, how much pressure do you put on the gas pedal? I don't know. How do you explain those things? So those are procedural memories, things you can't necessarily explain, but you can do. And then the other one over here is what's called dispositional, and this is just part of you. So this is, if you're a shy person and you go to a party with one of your really outgoing friends, they might say, why aren't you talking to anyone? And you go, I don't know, it just feels uncomfortable. Or you might say to them, how can you talk to all those people you don't even know? And they say, I don't know, that's just what I do. So the dispositional is kind of how you are, how you feel. You can't really explain why, but this is the way it is. So that's it for what I'll talk about, but I really want you to focus in the textbook on some more of the elaborative rehearsal techniques and the mnemonics and how to improve the flow of information from short-term to long-term and back from long-term to short-term. So have a great rest of your evening, and I will talk to you soon.